will be their first 2 bans, and EPA go with Gangplank Rise. So a little bit more standard this time around.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, I agree with the Tahm Kench ban. You need to let Flandre at least have some impact around the map. What happened is he got up like 25 CS in the first 6 levels, and then Tahm Kench turned into Tahm Kench and could just free farm. Flandre was like, it's like hitting a brick wall. All it's doing is hurting my hand.
Yep, and Flandre's hand's definitely hurting in that game, I think, after all the adventures he was going on. Kalista, actually, the last ban here from Snake. Again, 80 carries being banned away. I feel like Martin definitely suffered, and so did Tank in some respects, by having so many different carries taken by EPA, but it's very strange to see Snake ban Kalista of all champions.
Yeah, you know, 4 of the 7, I guess, games that before this Romantic had played was on the Kalista, so not surprised to see it taken away.
Yep, same with the Misfortune, who will be the final ban there for EPA, and surprise everyone, Alistar still first pick.
Yeah, so Alec gets back on Alistar. I like that because hopefully it sets up ZZR to go back to that heavy gank style that we were seeing.
And that's Rek'Sai actually locked in for Crisis, so I do like this takeaway from ZZR. He'll have to show us something different. We'll have, say, the Graves open if he wants it, and the Kindred, of course. So we'll see if he goes to an 80 carry jungler or sticks to one of the more CC tank-style junglers instead, although Rek'Sai's sort of the only one that's seeing a lot of play, so I don't quite know what meta options ZZR has, but Corki is going to be the pick to pair with that one.
You know, Lee Sin, Elise, they're still seeing a little bit of play, but definitely not as much as Rek'Sai. Seems to be tier 1 as far as the tank jungle has gone. Gragas has fallen off the face of the earth.
Poor Gragas.
Lowest win percentage in 3 rolls per time.
I miss him.
How he has fallen.
Fast. It's pretty heavy.
yeah. Gravity takes effect every now and again.
A Snake. No, lining up their picks. I would like something like Lucian here for Martin, although I do like the Corki Steal from EPA. Nice and ambiguous as well, of course, which is what we love to talk about in these drafts. But Lulu does get open for the first time in the series, and it will go to Snake.
Yeah, so Lulu just seems to be like good Victor at this point in time. So like the fact that they've gone back to something like that. Augment your AD carry. Still has the same amount of wave clear.
And I'd have to guess that that's probably Flandre's Lulu, unless something dramatic changes on the EPA draft side. Because again, from what we saw in Game 1, that's more of the winning formula. It doesn't have to be, but I think Tank would prefer an aggressive champion.
Yeah, it certainly could be Flandre taking that into the top lane. I think it will depend on what they're up against. Corki actually deals okay with Lulu because his burst comes out relatively quickly. Very hard to shield up.
I like this change from EPA if they go with Braum. Starting to pick up a little bit more. We've talked about support Trundle for quite a lot and how popular that champion's been, but can't really go past something like Braum for a tanky CC champion, especially when Alistar's taken away. So Ezreal will be locked in here. EPA going to stick to double 80 carry, with Crisis taking Rek'Sai in the jungle, and there's the Braum to pairing with, I'm guessing, the Ezreal, but could be Corki. Doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, very flexible. The 280 carries can go into either role. I'm with you. Every single time Braum stops being picked up, I'm like, where is he gone? Like, we don't touch him. He's very balanced, but he's just a good all-round pick. And if you use him correctly, that Unbreakable, very potent in the team fights. So, you know, going back to the Braum there, Jay-Z in the bottom lane going to be able to pick that one up. And great against Alistar. Alistar has to hard engage on your support. Braum just throws up the shield. You know, once again, goes back to that 80 carries hitting supports, and neither really get ahead in this trade. So, like what they're going with.
Yep, certainly do. As Snake are looking around this comp out here, going in a different direction perhaps here. Looking almost like a throwback comp at this point. There are only so many 80 carries you can put in so many spots. And it does seem like ZZR doesn't want to go to something like Graves. So we'll see if this is a lock-in here for Snake. I wouldn't mind these picks, but again, it's very different.
Talk about an immobile mid laner.
Syndra Elise, sorry.
Yeah. Like, that is so much damage. Good pick comp. If anyone face checks them, they will die. But, you know, Crisis, eyes must have lit up there. If he can get into that mid lane early, blow a flash, there is absolutely nothing Tank's going to be able to do. He's a sitting duck.
Yeah, and I think finally we're going to actually have a different jungle matchup because we've had Rek'Sai versus an 80 carry twice now, and we're going to get effectively control jungler versus control jungler here. One's a bit more aggressive in Elise, one's a bit tankier in Rek'Sai, but both ZZR and Crisis are going to have to be on point with where they're sitting.
And the Meowkai's back.
Maybe. This would be hilarious too. We just go all the way back to last season.
Well, when you look at the damage and how it's going to come out, you know, Maokai Braum going to be able to absorb a lot on the front line. Good chase, good CC, you know, good mix damage as well because Corki and Ezreal going to be doing a lot of AD and magic damage. Honestly, once again, EPA's lineup looks good. Much easier to execute on.
Yep, and there's Maokai. Welcome back.
The reason I like Maokai is Maokai was always the answer to these mid laners that as long as they're standing in one spot, you can destroy. Syndra, as long, like, she can flash, whatever. She's not getting away from a Maokai once Grasping Roots is down. And Grasp with the Undying Maokai, honestly, just sustains through so much pressure top lane. We changed his ultimate. That's what we did. We put it on a much longer cooldown. So now you have to choose when you use it. But the potency when it is used is still the exact same. And you just leave it up the duration in the team fight.
Yep, so good drafts. I think both teams this time sort of getting everything aligned for this particular game, which makes sense given that we're up to game 3. You can see the lineups there on either side. Feels like the teams have pretty similar plan, actually. Snake, they're going to go back to much more pick-style League of Legends, and this should be something that's comfortable for them, but it's not something we've seen for a little while, at least in the early days of this year.
And one thing I'm going to throw out there is, although I like pick comps a lot, Rek'Sai generally shuts them down quite hard during the mid-game because of Tremor Sense. You don't ever pick Rek'Sai because of Tremor Sense, but it is just so useful as an added bonus of the champion. And when Snake are going to have to play with Fog of War so hard in this game, Blue Trinkets, Rek'Sai, might be difficult to execute if the game goes for too long.
That's sort of why Rek'Sai never really fades out. The amount of control she provides is always top tier in a competitive game. So I do like the takeaway from ZZ. I'll see if he can perform on Elise this time. And again, teams are drafted well here, but this game could get very explosive.
Yeah, ZZR versus Crisis probably will decide the map, see who they can get rolling.
Well, we'll see which team can take the win here. We're going to get ourselves onto the roof for game number 3. And we'll watch the teams move it here for the final game of today. We've gone all the way down to game 3 here. Haven't had too many game 3s in the early weeks of the LPL spawn, but seems like we are going to push one here. Snake have had a lot of tough battles, it feels like. But EPA fighting back nicely in game number 2. We'll see which team can get an edge here early and see if there's any snowballs to be started. If there's something I do want to see from Snake, it's just bring some of that aggression back. You've got aggressive champions. You've set yourself up for it. Start making some early moves. There's a nice ward down. Oop, do we get the ward doing? Martin, first yes of the game.
Yeah, able to pick up that 10 goal.
And then Q.
Jeez, he throws a door at him. No chair this time around.
Oh, disappointing. Hurts just as much, though.
And Ella takes heal level 1.
Huh. Okay. I mean, if they're looking to ping those Krugs, I guess that makes a bit of sense. But we'll make your level 2 all-in difficult, so probably not going for any sort of shenanigans.
And it looks like EPA are actually lane swapping away. So maybe they knew on the side of Snake that this wasn't going to be a standard 2v2 lane.
Maybe that's what the heal level's for. Curious stuff from Ella, but Crisis Game already paired up. And the Sapling's going to help out nicely here in the jungle. Romantic now on top side is going to start those Krugs. So both dual lanes will get some early experience and gold, but we'll instead just be pushing into no one, as we are going to have double jungling on both sides as well.
Ella heals, yells, stamps his feet, tramples the absolute heck out of the Stone Brothers.
They are going to take him out. Ella's just, I mean, look, he's not too low.
He's a baller. I love Ella.
Again, underrated support player, but back on our star for this third game. See if he can make a difference. This mid lane could get very, very tricky.
Yeah, it certainly could. And, you know, it's actually EPA that have decided to isolate it. This tank misses a Dark Sphere there. So it looks like they're confident in the fact that Republic should be able to take the 1v1.
Yep, and I like this from Flandre. He sort of popped into top lane, I think hoping that there wasn't going to be a lane swap, but now knows it is. So returns back to the jungle with ZZR. As you can see, Jay-Z is rotating down on the Braum, but already too late to check. He's going to get... Oh! He missed the little one as well. That actually went to ZZR, I think. So, gets the info, but that's about it. As you can see, Republic has to play nice and carefully here in this lane. There is so much burst in this mid lane.
Yeah, brought the cleanse into the mid lane. You can see that this is going to be a gank. ZZR going in.
I do like this. He's back in the spider form. Going to leap in. Slow will miss there, but the Cocoon's lined up nicely now. Oh, he misses it. And that's going to be all she wrote for that one.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, not burning the cleanse means that there's always cleanse Valkyrie to get out of the next gank. So not the end of the world as Gimgoon joins Romantic in the top lane. This is turning into a four-man push. And because of, I guess, a little bit of a sidetrack, although it gets a summoner spell, we'll put them a little bit behind on the turret siege down bottom. Although now being joined up, and no, not really. They've shoved both waves really hard.
Yep. Ella's heal strats may be working out here. But this is going to be towers going down pretty quickly. Snake might get the first one here, but it's going to be pretty close on either side regardless. Flandre does hit level 2, which is always nice. And this is going to be Snake taking down the first tower of the game.
No, they're actually not going to get on this wave. They need to go one more, so stacking the wave comes up huge for EPA. So they're going to get the first tower of the game. Flandre probably going to stay down here with the wave, and we'll see whether Gimgoon does something similar.
Well, should be a trade here as Tankers needs to recalibrate those spheres.
Yeah, that was high wide, not very handsome.
Well, EPA continuing to push,
old
actually.
EDG 4v nothing strat. They've pushed through, made sure that they get the extra experience. This is going to bounce back now very quickly. And they'll even get some damage done to the tier 2. I have no idea why teams stop doing this.
Yeah.
Because this is now impossible to freeze. No matter what happens, it bounces back the whole way down the lane. It gives you some extra time to scout who's going there. You can see that Martin's there. And he's not going to be able to drag the wave back.
Well, I think part of it is that teams got good at responding to it, but Snake were just a little too slow on that take in the bottom side and couldn't stop it. And when you can't stop it, this is exactly what happens.
Yeah,
they didn't stop doing it because it's not good.
And I wonder now whether they just go all 3 members into the bottom lane, because you can see that Flandre, he hasn't done the same thing. It's 6 more CS right now for Gimgoon. Flandre's letting the wave push into him.
This is too slow.
And all of a sudden, there's going to be 4 people that appear down here, and Flandre's going to have to leave the lane one more time.
Yeah, you can see EPA descending onto this bottom half of the map. The Republic's continuing to apply pressure as well. Tank level 5, so things get very tricky in the mid lane when both of them hit level 6. And you can see a pink ward gank being set up here by Snake. Cocoon misses again. Just short there on that one from ZZR. And now Jay-Z's coming in. Level 2, but no mana there. Exhaust is down. That's going to be forcing a flush, but they might just go in for it. First blood's going to come through, and it is going to be the Corki. Republic gets it. A Snake now come in. Flandre pops his way down, and Republic will die there to the Lulu. Jay-Z getting low. Looks to be the second killer. ZZR will collect it. Snake, nice teleport there from Flandre. Answers the gank.
That's really sloppy out of EPA. They actually had a better fast push if they just sent 4 members bottom lane. Instead, they go for a dive. They give up 2 members. Martin now by himself going to be able to push into this turret. Romantic has to get the heck out of dodge. And that's just not good enough play.
Nope, Gimgoon zoned out of the top lane for a bit, as well as Martin did a nice job while all this was happening, pressuring the top side. Big wave for Maokai to pick up, so not too much tower damage as Martin's forced to back away out of the long lane. But
that was just really weird shot calling out of EPA. You know, they had everything going in their favor. They'd pushed through that turret. They knew that there were 2 members mid. Instead, they don't commit to the fast pushes to try and get the turrets down in their favor, and that's a 700 gold swing.
Yep, they take the risky play, and Flandre's teleport finally seems like it's back to where it was a little bit earlier in last year.
Well, you pointed it out. It seems like support mage is where Flandre is just able to keep the rest of his team safe and respond around the map. He should have been in a CS hole. Now he's picked up a kill and an assist against Gimgoon, so he's going to go back. Be completely fine. You see, going for that gold generation item. And, oh, that's just, it hurts to watch sometimes.
It does, and it hurts EPA. Finding themselves a little bit behind in gold here. Martin still with plenty of free time on the top side as continuing the different 1v2 lanes here. And Tank, after a bit of a misstep, doesn't have any summoners, so we'll have to watch for any ganks, but good vision now around the area for Snake, and Republic knows that he has to respect the Syndra burst damage.
Yeah, he certainly does. Tank, without the Ignite, probably not going to be able to get much done, but now it's ZZR that joins for the 3-man push in the top lane.
Ezreal ulti does clear the wave out. But wave's still coming here for Snake. They'll be able to keep pushing. And Flandre might be able to hold on to the bottom tower. Snake are actually going to go up 2-1 in towers, where it feels like it should have been EPA that were doing this.
Yeah, it certainly should have been. Flandre does back away just because there's 2 people more in that bottom side. But
oh, yep, Tank now caught as well, potentially. Does get knocked back there as a boatload of CC, as a good double stun will come in, but he doesn't have any flash. He kind of has to juke around a bunch of different things. Does juke almost everything and survive, though. Very fancy feat. Oh, has come back in. Gimgoon looks to be in trouble. Brom is going to join back in, and that's going to save as Flandre does go down, but Snake is still pushing.
Yeah, so Snake, they're going to push through, grab another turret for their trouble, but Flandre another time goes into another weird engage. Decision making not as crisp in the LPL today, but in the end it means that EPA will be able to pressure the mid lane and bottom lane turrets while ZZR can regain some control of the top side of the jungle.
Yeah. So 3-2 now in turrets as EPA do grab another outer, but tier 2 in top lane means that Gimgoon has a long way to walk if he wants to get anywhere, but should at least be safe to do some farming.
Well, it's not even in that brush.
Take it out. Crisis though will collect it with the Raptor buff instead. And there's another one that he does see, but isn't able to take out in the duration, or maybe didn't see it actually. Plenty of wards actually here for Snake. That's the advantage of this deep push they've made as the Republic comes to mid lane with the package armed. Maybe looking for an equalizer play, but he's just going to see us up instead for now.
Yeah, there was no ultimate available on Tank. Thought that he might look to, I guess, go very aggressive as you were mentioning. Meanwhile, we mentioned the turrets. EPA 2, Snake 3, and you really do feel that should be the other way around this game. If it wasn't for that one misstep. Cost them a lot of tempo, honestly, EPA, but the kill on Flandre kind of evens that back out, gets some concentrated gold into their lineup. See the Braum using that to rotate very quickly around the map with those Swifty boots, try and be everywhere his team needs him.
Yep. And Zul actually has some as well, which makes sense against a lot of the slows here on the Snake lineup. And EPA maybe looking to start the dragon here, but just take the crab for now. I think the top lane is obviously the one suffering here. Flandre is still in a CS deficit. Wave is starting to come towards him, so he might be able to hold that there, at least for a little while. As EPA are going to collect this dragon, but both Maokai and Lulu, and all these lane swaps, is going to struggle to pick up some early farm here. So look for them to be a little more weakened into that mid-game as EPA to get themselves dragon number 1.
And you feel that because it's an Ezreal as well as that Corki double Sheen, Flandre would love to hold the wave, but he kind of needs to be in a position to shove it out quickly if they make a move on that mid lane turret.
Well, he's holding it for now. Don't think it's going to last too long here, but at least he's starting to collect a bit more CS as Snake.
It's actually Snake that make the move into the mid lane, so they're not waiting for it. Tank has a lot of burst damage if they do want to try and siege this one up, but the collapse is coming out.
Yeah, Braum, Siren, even Ezreal was ulting down into the mid lane as well. So EPA responding well. Looks like both teams trying to hold on to those precious mid-outer turrets for as long as possible. And it feels like once in a game we actually have them both up. Feels like the first 2 games, mid-towers were falling left, right, and center.
Yeah, very rare commodities in the first couple of games, but this time around, both teams able to defend with their wave clear, and Flandre finally able to get some CS under his belt. He's picked up about 20 in that wave. You can see that Snake prioritizing getting some farm onto their Lulu. We'll see whether Gimgoon gets to own that wave in the top lane as well in a similar manner.
Yep, time to trade farm pretty much between these top laners as they'll be bouncing waves back and forth. It's really weird when games start playing out like this. You have such long spaces in the early game that you don't really want to walk into and can't really afford to get vision around, so you have to play safely, but you kind of eventually get the farm as it slowly moves towards your side of the map. This Tank can clear this out. That is something we kind of didn't mention. Syndra's wave clear quite good, so he's fitting with a lot of the mages we've seen. Just a bit more aggressive compared to something like Victor.
Yeah, it certainly is. Going for a Rod of Ages start here is Tank, so maybe not as aggressive as we used to see Syndra's, but going to have a big mana pool, be able to continually clear out waves. One of the more underrated things is Syndra's CC after that ultimate, being able to get the Scatter of the Week out. CC multiple people with those Dark Spheres.
Speaking of wave clear, Romantic and Republic able to clear that out with their respective ultimates. There's Flandre now working the bottom side actually, so feels like there's maybe a bit more farm for him here. And Martin still moving between the lanes as well, collecting the safe farm wherever it's available. And he's doing nicely. 107 to 98 between the AD carries, and Martin will have that Essence Reaver up nice and quickly here in this game. But once again, we had a lot of action early, towers falling down. Snake do have a slim lead of about 1,000 gold, but just settling back into sort of that late early game farming we've become accustomed to, it feels like.
Yeah, and right now it's just EPA waiting on the Trinity Force and the Iceborne Gauntlet spikes out of their mid lane and an AD carry respectively. Snake, on the other hand, more than happy to scale up. They have a gold generation item on Flandre, as well as that Raw stacking on Tank in the mid lane. And this is kind of the part of the game where they need to avoid getting caught out. We saw Flandre walk into his jungle and give away a kill already. If Snake are able to get through the next 10 minutes relatively unscathed, finally it looks like they have a comp where their team fighting will come together nicely. However, EPA, we've already seen them execute on 180 carry comp. Now with some CC out of their top laner and their jungler, should be able to execute on it a little bit more easily.
Yep, feels like given the pace of the game so far that we are in for some pretty crazy mid-game team fights. So Dragon 1 already went to EPA. Probably look to split that objective when the next one does come up. So maybe look 20-25 minutes around that first area of Baron, really.
Iceborne Gauntlet done. You have to think the Republic has the Trinity Force whenever he wants to return to base. Really do expect EPA to start shoving these waves out and grouping in the mid lane. Looks like Rift Herald being contested right now by Snake. That'll go over to Martin. That gives them some more pushing power. But as we said, don't necessarily expect Snake to want to fight just yet. They're still scaling up with their mid lane and with the Rod of Ages. And they're going for another roller in the top lane.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Flandre, I saw the Ruby Crystal and I was like, that's quite greedy. But he is going to go for Frost Queen's Claim Rod of Ages. This build will take a little while to be completed. And then, of course, the charge up, especially given that he was a bit starved of minions in the early game due to those lane swaps. So Snake really committing to the scaling plan. Certainly hope their team fighting has improved in the series because they've been suffering a bit in the early weeks. As Flandre going to help tank out there with the blue buff.
And you know, if anyone can scale through a game, it is the Lulu Lucian combo. Lightslinger passive is just so good with help picks. So they should be able to quite handily win team fights. But on the other side of the map, we keep talking about double AD. They just peak at this stage of the game between 14 and 25 minutes. It seems incredibly strong.
Well, early items are done. Ezreal does want to look towards that Manamune, but he'll be comfortable with whatever his team chooses to do. And Republic with blue buff and a Trinity Force getting pretty quickly towards level 11. Having no problems at all here. You can see Gimgun and Flandre feels like finally meeting in the lane. But I think it'll just be a bit more fun.
Gimgun has gone all out components. He's got the makings of 3 items right now. Martin, good damage.
Yeah, great damage onto Romantic actually. It seems like that Rift Herald buff may be put to some use here. Tier 2 turret is going to get assaulted by Snake. Happy to just take some time. ZZR, of course. Good Siege champion, but nice ult from Romantic clears that out. Must be annoying. And Sludge is actually forced to ulti in the top lane.
So components coming up huge here. As Flandre gets caught out a little bit. Teleport now behind the Snake lineup.
Yep, now going to look to close the trap here. Martin quite low on health, has to run himself up, but he's going to face check Gimgun. Empowered recall, maybe not enough. Gimgun's going to find the target he wants. Repel out there from Ella. Martin with a good flash as Ella is trying to save them, but a flash ulti there from Braun gives Republic the first kill. Now Ella going to get chased off to the right-hand side as ZZR makes a run for it. Ella is ultied, but it wears off now. That's going to be a second kill for Corki.
Yeah, and another mid Corki getting rolling in this mid game. We've already seen what one can do. It was in the hands of Tank in game 1. This time around, looks like Republic wants some revenge. ZZR forced off his red buff a little bit, and now Tank getting flanked as well. Mid lane going to be under fire.
Yeah, good play here from Tank to try and push down that mid lane turret, but couldn't finish it on the Syndra. Might even get caught here as he does get tagged by the Winter's Bite. But Jay-Z going to respect it. EPA instead counter push themselves. Crisis around the back. Might look for something. Does get cocooned up, but they could just dive here onto the Elise. The Q will go wide from Braum that time, but tower does fall. Flandre now the target. Gimgun there locks him down with the W, and he just gets blown up there. Mid Corki, so much damage. Ella with a huge pulverize though. Going to try and turn things around. Martin now also back in the fight. ZZR very low.
Republic, and this is what we said about the Ezreal Corki combo. Very good at going forward, but also equally good at going backwards. It looked like mid lane turret will fall down. But Gimgun able to get in there on this tanky Maokai 004. Definitely has been the facilitator that EPA were looking for in these team fights, but Snake still hold on to a gold lead.
Yep, going to be a trade here as Snake do actually get the mid tower that Tank had prepared earlier. Dragon also was looked at by EPA but couldn't be finished, so we're going to be pretty much all square here in objectives. Snake with the 1 tower lead, going to keep themselves just under 1,000 gold ahead, but very tense game. As you can see, both teams jockeying for that position, but map's wide open now. People are starting to scale up, so we talk about that mid game. Fights are going to start to break out probably in the next 10 minutes or less. It's Flandre. He's close to that roller, but it just feels so late.
Yeah, 18 minutes feels really late to get it. You think that, you know, if you can get it at about the 16-minute mark, it's okay, but this will be an 18-minute Rod of Ages. You'll go back now and pick it up. And he's 28 minutes through the game. He will be relatively strong, but they lose another one of those team fights because Gimgun right now is strong. It's going to be a difficult hill to climb if you're a Snake fan.
Martin is going to clear this wave out in mid lane. Looks like EPA are now turning their attention to the bottom half of the map. Going to get themselves pushing. Romantic checks that brush with a Q, but doesn't find anyone. And pretty strong time for EPA to start pushing. Gimgoon again. Still only with all those components, but nice and tanky early on. It's the Ghost Star pop by Flandre. And the poke. Pretty frustrating here as they just try and wave clear out, but Syndra being forced to use the Eater wave clear means that she's not really a threat in the rest of these fights. Snake will successfully clear it out, but...
And the difference between a Gimgoon and Flandre flank right now with teleport is being like shown so much. When Gimgoon teleported into that lane, was able to get a massive play for his team. Flandre right now is more useful being buffed up with his team, honestly, as they go in.
Yeah, they are going to look for the fight. Romantic actually eats a Cocoon, but a good Braum Unbreakable plus the ulti might disengage it. Ella in the middle of it all. ZZR is actually the target they're going to look for, but a huge stun out from Syndra. Almost takes out everyone from EPA, and Jay-Z has to run it out. Martin gets exhausted, but he's looking to still chase.
Wow.
Next Cocoon will go wide as Republic barely picks off Ella with a Phosphorus Bomb, and EPA may have just turned it around. Tank is low on mana, looking for Crisis, but Ultimate does not come out. He's already used it. And they just can't finish these kills. It's so hard to kill Ezreal Corki. Martin going to come back in, but Braum will protect him. Ghost will pop out from Flandre. They're still chasing Repels there, but still no kills. And ZZR might just die. Romantic, little too far forward. Does go down to Flandre. Now Jay-Z is going to fall in. And EPA, little too much there.
Yeah, finally Snake are able to get like a team fight slightly in their favor, but that was the dream. Tank started that off with a 5-man stun, and they still only just scraped through with it. This is kind of, EPA kind of look how Snake used to team fight. Like, looks scrappy, doesn't look clean, but somehow they're all walking away with tiny, tiny amounts of health. Wasn't until the very last second that Flandre, with those spooky goes, able to pick up a couple of kills. And that will put them in much better shape going forward.
Well, 2 items up now for Martin, and a good burst of gold for Snake as they're up about 1,500 gold after a few of those kills. Morello Nomicon actually up for tank as well, so pretty aggressive build here from the Syndra, looking to get as much CDR as possible.
Flandre and Tank are going pretty much the exact same item builds, but Flandre has the Frost Queens in there. Both looking for a Morello Nomicon, for CDR max, and they just understand that these fights are going for a very long time.
Yeah, if that last little exchange is anything to go by, especially with towers not really being in a lot of these lanes, EPA can afford to kite back for quite a while. And Snake again, execution just not quite where we're used to seeing it. Seems like the team is still adjusting to working together. Oop, Martin, that's awkward. Does miss the dash over the trees.
No harm, no foul, Martin. Don't worry. We won't judge.
Well, looking to siege now.
Maybe Crisis got out.
That's not a good spot for you to be in. Ulti out from Syndra. As Ella's going to look to initiate Righteous Score. He could save him. Flash Pulverize there onto Gimgoon. He's going to get punted back into the team, but the rest of the carries are going to swoop in now. And the damage might be there. Jay-Z goes straight in for it. Republic and Romantic off to the side. As Gimgoon does get taken out. Crisis too low, but Flandre off to the side as Braum ulti is going to come in. Frosters one with the Ella back in there. Huge stun out from Syndra. A double kill there from Elise. Martin will fall to Ezreal, but Romantic's going to drop to the Syndra. Republic, the only one left alive, as Elise gets a triple, and the stun barely misses on Republic on the edge there.
And that is what we are expecting out of Snake. What a headbutt pulverized combo out of Alice. Starts the team fight up, re-engages it with Flandre's health. And that is much cleaner execution out of Snake.
And now 2k gold up, looking to be 3, possibly 4 as they could push in for this mid tower. But Snake, do not take the risk with the death time as being a little too low. But they're starting to win more of these exchanges. EPA fighting in corridors is a bit awkward against Alistar Syndra, as we'll see this one again.
So they engage on Gimgoon, and you see how long he stays alive. Pops his ultimate, sets him up for a pretty good team fight. And it's not until Ella leaves and then comes back around the corner for a really nice headbutt pulverized combo. Watch him right here.
No flash.
Gets in there, over the top, nails everyone along with Tank. And that just set ZZR up to go completely berserk. Has a dead man's plate now, going to be even more efficient in these team fights.
And that's the fight we were sort of expecting there for Snake. Tank will get his own blue buff as well. And EPA starting to fall a little bit behind here in this game.
But they've started up Baron. Flandre in the bottom lane.
Does have his TP by the looks of things. Nope, just taking the crab.
Oh, they're just taking the crab. Double pink ward went down. I thought they'd started up straight away. Now Romantic.
Good threat. Now just looking for the bait, but ZZR's pretty tanky. Righteous Glory burn. That could give a window here. As Flandre's actually porting in for a flank. Culling goes out. That's going to force the Braum unbreakable. Now Ella wants it. Now Flandre all the way around the side, looking for a flank. Gets a 3-man slow with the Glitter Lance. And they'll keep running in for it. Ella, he's fine. Crisis, they'll take it. That's the target they want. Gimgoon now going to come his way back in as Tank just blows up the jungler from EPA. Now Gimgoon getting crit over the wall. Stunned up as well there by the Syndra. As Scatter the Weak will barely catch him on the end. And they still want it. They have to keep fighting. Martin going to pop his way in as the Wild Growth's already been used. Ella going to miss that combo onto JZ, but the Braum is going to pop up the shield. Republic now gets stunned. That could be the jump they want. Damage is down. Not quite there yet. Republic barely living as his Hex Trigger pot. Gimgoon is going to get low as he gets polymorphed up. And now Romantic stunned into the walls. He can't shift away. That'll be another kill. Glory there for the poke from Republic as he gets one more. But JZ is looking to go down. Syndra will die on the end of it. They can't keep chasing. And that was a big messy fight.
Yeah, it certainly was. And in the end, it's a 3-for-3 pastry time with everyone falling down. Both teams lucky it wasn't an ace. Here comes Crisis. He's going towards the dragon. Doesn't want anything to do with the fight. Just wants to pick up another objective. And this game is on the knife's edge. Snake are trying to claw their way back into a teamfight-centric game, you feel. And EPA just as scrappy. They don't look any prettier.
No.
But they're kind of equally effective.
Yeah, I mean, Snake won the last few, but that one was dead even pretty much, despite the nice flank there from Flandre. It feels like Snake and Flandre in particular are warming up as they play more games together. As Flandre looking for a steal. Ooh, not going to get it. Crisis there, able to smite that one away and give EPA the second dragon of the game. But yeah, scrappy's one way to put it. It's been very messy here. 22 kills all up on the Rift, almost a kill a minute. But still a slim lead here for Snake as far as gold is concerned. ZZR will miss that cocoon, forcing Republic away.
Yeah, Republic, wow. That was brave. Doesn't burn anything there. Had the package. Just kind of walks away.
Felt safe. Super Valkyrie away.
I didn't feel safe.
Well, Republic certainly shown an awful lot of gusto in these games. But Snake are getting ground here. As Gimgoon does pop himself into the bottom side. Going to clear out what he can. And he's actually finally completed some items. We saw the Righteous Glory still working on a major tank item, but can't be too far away, given how long he's held on to some of those components. Flandre will pop the ghosts, but Gimgoon will complete that recall by the looks of things. Does get back to safety, and what item will it be first? I have to think it's probably Magic Resist, and there is the Spirit Visage completed. Gimgoon a whole lot tankier all of a sudden.
Yeah, Gimgoon has teleport, and you can see they know Flandre does not. They're looking for a play. Gimgoon in the end just home guards out of base. Really wanted that there. Actually wasted a little bit of time just chilling in base. But Flandre getting that lane, pushing back in their favor. This game, this series, it's 1-1 on a knife edge now. And if Snake drop back-to-back sets in a weekend against M3 and EPA, that's a very disappointing. Remember, only a 10-week season this time around. That's not a great start.
A rough start, certainly. As Tank now on the top lane, going to do some wave clearing of his own. Seems like him and Flandre are still build buddies, as Void Staff still be coming out next, but makes sense given the massively tank Maokai that's starting to come out from EPA's top lane. Martin getting stronger as well is always nice. You can see he's working on, looks like more of Malmortius actually is his third item, which isn't too bad given the amount of magic damage Corki does. But Republic's got 2 items as well. Ezreal now with a QSS. EPA's comp also coming together, and once again, a close game always means that fights will be just that. And we've seen lots of back and forth here. Fights pretty much going all the way down a whole lane at this point.
Yeah, it certainly has been the case. And look at how evenly matched these two teams are, to the point where their supports, you know, 1 CS separates some pastry time. That's not very much. And it really has been intense. Objective control slightly in favor of Snake, but you feel like this game is one team fight away from bursting open.
Well, if they can take this, this will be a really nice tower to try and get. They are going to zone them off. Their stun is used by Syndra, but the tower will fall. Snake, nice maneuver there. Actually spotted, I believe, Romantic, in the top lane. And all they really needed the Void Staffs here on their AP champions, both Lulu and Syndra. They probably feel comfortable going back in for a fight here. Baron is starting to become a very real objective as well. We're approaching 30 minutes as we just tick past 27. Flandre still farming it up. Again, it just feels like Snake are waiting for something, but EPA, they probably are too, but they don't have to wait for too much longer. These close team fights might start getting even closer, and it should be the Baron they look to play around.
And it looks like it will be a frozen heart out of Gimgoon. lots of people, like Poppy, for example, is just defaulting towards Frozen Fist because it gives 20% cooldown reduction now. And unless there's an out-and-out, like, attack speed carry, something like a Vayne or a Caitlyn, it just doesn't feel like Frozen Heart's really all that necessary. You can see that more of a caster out of Martin anyway, so Frozen Heart not going to get that much work done. As Flandre now looking to bully him, and Frozen Fist just gives you that little bit of offensive feel. You all of a sudden have to pay attention to the Maokai if he starts wailing on you with that item.
Yeah, even more sticky for those sort of tanks. So we'll see if Gimgoon, I guess, wants to go for the tank item because he is the tank, but do agree that Iceborne Gauntlet's been seeing a lot of press lately, and with good reason. Romantic obviously has one, and has actually got his Muramana transformed up as well. Seems like Blade of the Ruin King will be his next build, which has been the very popular third item for the blue Ezreals, especially from that AD carry position, but even from mid lane as well. And more's also done for Martin, who's also got that static shift still on the Lucian. So 3 items up for Snake's AD carry. Romantic not far behind. Once again, Dragon up in a minute 30. Let's see if these teams can find any sort of real advantage in this game, because Snake's lead at this point is effectively neutralized, given the time in the game.
Yeah, you know, it's getting towards that point, and they're just not acting like they have a lead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There's a huge tank on Gimgoon that is going to be, like, he's ultimate. Just as long as they're fighting within that, will make up a couple of thousand gold by itself. By all rights, Snake should now be winning these team fights, but with a lot of the gold being on the Elise versus the Rek'Sai, not going to be putting out the same amount of effort, and, you know, EPA would still feel like they're relatively close. I mean, the gold lead, honestly, even though it's 4,000 gold, whoever wins the next fight, whoever grabs that Baron objective, if they win it by enough margin, if it's another 3 for 3 or 4 for 3, probably not much going to happen, but whoever gets a clean victory in one of these fights, you feel like will win the game.
Certainly. That's sort of what a lot of these games boil down to. This has definitely been more of a slow burner. We've had 2 pretty fast games, I have to say, with maybe different mistakes made on either side to sort of speed them along. Snake definitely looked like they fumbled before the line in game number 2, but had a very straightforward win.
Jay-Z.
That's not a good spot to stand. Does get spotted. Stun's there. Good block, but he still gets stunned. Brom's pretty tanky. Will hop away to them anyway. Forced to burn the ulti. Misses tank and uses his flash as well.
This is a whole team coming down for him.
Yeah,
3 members. We'll see where they go Baron instead.
Oh, Ella finds the combo. Culling is there. That's going to be the pick off, but EPA are going to run towards the Baron straight off to start it.
Yeah, they have started it, but the teleport is coming in. They can't do it in time.
Oh, that's a fast
Flandre.
Whimsy and Homeguard pops the Ghost as well, looking for a target just to buy some time. Looks like Dragon is actually going to be the objective for Snake. They'll consolidate their pick into just safe objectives here. Still don't want to take any risks. And Flandre did not go Void Staff. He went Death Cap.
Yeah, I like Death Cap. Lulu always been better at augmenting a carry. We'll need to go Void Staff as the last item you would suspect, but the more damage Martin can do in these team fights, the better off Snake will be. Bigger shields, bigger speed up, just offensive and defensive. If you're a purely offensive champion like Syndra, Void Staff will generally be better.
Whoa!
Wow.
Republic going in for Martin. Good damage. Ooh. Oh, that flash! Straight into the rock.
That is heartbreaking, but Gimgoon's also teleported in. They're not going to let this one go without a struggle.
Committing a lot for it, but Ella is there to block the path. Martin needs to do quite a lot there. His tank actually now peeling beside him as a threat. Gimgoon now flashes over the Dragon Wall. And EPA starting to get a little frustrated, it feels like.
Yeah, it definitely was a desperate play. Burning the teleport. If Martin had been deleted there, which is what Corki should have been able to accomplish, would have been a 4v5. And it looked like they were in. They were willing to fight that one, EPA, but the fat finger there from Republic, wall just a little too thick. Means that he's not able to get it done. He's 6-1-3. That should have been a dead Lucian.
Yeah, you can see just the damage he's doing. It's this, all these weird rapid-fire cannon assassins, Quinn and Corki. But certainly getting enough work done there. This Flandre starting to really demolish minion waves on the Rabadons. This is where Flandre really shines. He's got all the stats he really needs. Void Staff is almost a luxury at this point, and it's not just the utility he provides to his team, but the fact that he can start really split pushing down these waves and controlling the other sides of the map. You kind of saw this from Snake in Game 1. They're able to play around the map really nicely by bouncing the side waves, and Flandre has almost always been responsible for that on his team. And I'm sure this game is no exception.
Yeah, and you see that The Snake lineup very happy to play that slow-paced macro game one more time. Their team fighting has looked better, but here they go.
Yeah, Flandre might have found a pick. Romantic forced to shift over the wall to safety. Republic now going to get stunned up as Gimgoon will join in right in the center of the fight. Martin joining Lapet, throws out the culling. Now going to move back in and start hitting those tanks. They need to find a pick here perhaps, or just use their CC as a wild growth has already been used on tank. Gimgoon going to come straight in there. Romantic actually over the wall as ZZR almost dies. He repels out of the way. Crisis will finally die to Flandre. Ella will die in and amongst it all as well. But stuns here from Tank are making the difference. Romantic looking to flank over the side, but Martin does not crit quite enough to take out the Ezreal. And they're discarding back here. Snake, Flandre might just be enough here as Tank still needs the stuns, but he's taking too much damage. The poke there from Corkins, he's picked up a triple. Now Martin going to be the target they chase down as he takes out the Braum. Martin needs to keep running. Flandre's already out of it.
And very close there. Romantic wanted to try and pick up another exit kill. Gimgoon is just unkillable at this stage of the game. We mentioned that we were expecting Maokai to make a reappearance in the LPL. His ultimate, it got nerfed. There's no doubt about it. But as long as it is up at the start of those team fights as... Whoa, Martin, that's a brave place to recall.
Lives on about 100 health as EPA take the mid-tier 2.
Still putting in work. They're going to be able to steal away a blue buff as well. Give it across to the Corki. I was expecting Romantic to actually pick that one up. You can see it 9-1 and 3. Now they're starting up Baron.
Yep, Baron is going to be the play now, and we do have quite a while left on tank. ZZR did come back up, but this will effectively be a 4v4 with Braum not there, and the damage is so massive onto this Baron. No way for them to steal it. Definitely shouldn't be fighting for it. Baron does go to Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, it certainly does. Can they catch Gimgoon?
That's the pick they want. Culling does go down. Pops the ulti. Righteous Glory already used, and it's just too tanky. They're going to keep chasing. Got plenty of slows, but Gimgoon does not care for you. All your slows.
That dude is a beast.
He's so tanky.
And it's so funny because we're used to seeing these bruisers in the top lane. That when you see things like Maokai, things like Malphite finally picked up, it just seems that they never die. Like Poppy's hard enough to kill, let alone if you throw a pure tank in there, something that actually has an ability to be able to halve a lot of the damage coming out of your team right now. And Gimgoon is going towards a Warmog's armor, it looks like, next. Or maybe a Banshee's Veil. Banshee's Veil will be the pickup. I was like, oh, I would hope it's a Warmog's.
Maybe last item.
And 1, 2, and 11. 12 out of 13 kill participation from the top laner. It's a massive tree.
It is, and it's just too much for Martin to have to deal with. I mean, Tank now no longer does enough damage to kill him, which we saw in some of the earlier fights. Martin is still building in towards, you know, some of the bigger items, and he's honestly more defending himself with his item build because of how much threat there is from the double AD carry than trying to just be a tank killer. It's not a big hyper carry. It's not something like Kog'Maw or Vayne, which would be classic tank killers of something like a Maokai. And the double AP doesn't do too much work against an ultied up Maokai with this many items.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't, and the danger is for Martin that he's so low range on the Lucian that as soon as he's within range to attack the Maokai, Maokai can just Grasping Roots on top of him, be able to get in there with that Frozen Heart, slow down the attack speed, and just be able to continually put out work. Now with Teleport, Gimgoon using the split push. Don't use your ultimate in split pushes anymore, Gimgoon. Such a long cooldown. And we'll see whether, now that the game has gone this late, now that there is a split pushing Maokai, if they can get anything else done.
Well, Snake just forced to defend off these Baroned up minions. Do have plenty of their base intact, so not looking too bad right now.
The Corki package.
I saw that from Republic. He's going to pick it up. Jetpack back down the mid lane. This could be the play that EPA want. They only need to break one section of the base as Snake forced all the way back into defending these turrets.
Top lane slow pushing. Gimgoon has got the bottom lane going in his favor. Without that Rod of Ages, it's very hard for Maokai to clear lanes. But with Syndra down there, look to see whether EPA want to take this fight.
Well, Static Shift helping a bit here on the wave clear department, at least for Martin. Syndra also getting in. Culling actually popped. Republic actually uses the package to get out there, so won't be able to make an aggressive play now with it, but EPA don't really have anything to worry about. Take their time here with the Baron buff. Plenty of duration left, as I say that.
Still
not that
out
much.
The top lane. You can see that there's a huge minion wave there. Tank in the bottom.
Good luck, Tank. Just can't clear fast enough on Syndra. Doesn't have death cap just yet. Baron up minions. Very, very tanky. Gimgoon, super tanky at this point. It just feels like a losing battle at this point. Snake
has to burn the cleanse there, Republic. He got hit by a cocoon. And now all of a sudden they send the Syndra across. They realize that there is blood in the water. Top lane is massive.
Still building.
And here comes a rotation potentially.
Well, that tier 2 might just die on its own at this point. Baron has one off for EPA, so won't have that in the push advantage. ZZR looking for a flank cocoon by the looks of things. Ella could be in. Slow misses there from Syndra. And there you go. You can see ZZR just going to help this turret along. Oh, never mind. That's the other side. He's actually going to take it out for himself. That's a nice way for the jungler.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you can see that the members of EPA, they're too low to contest. Flandre will actually save the turret in the end. Dragon will go over to EPA.
Teleports back up. I think that's why.
But that is a very good defense of a Baron buff.
Yeah. Every time you keep your inhibitor turrets up when the enemy team has Baron at this point in the game, that is a win as far as your team is concerned. Gold, of course, nice and close at this point, but starting to become less and less relevant as everyone's pretty much powered up to their final builds or close to. Have maybe one slot left for a lot of these. It looks like Flandre is actually just done. Got his Void stuff now as well. Syndra also finished up their death cap, so one item to go. And it's really Martin that doesn't have his items complete. Does have another Vampiric Scepter there, so could be Blade of the Ruin King, could be Bloodthirster, but whatever it is, he's just trying not to die. And I don't know if Gimgoon's going to die either. Even Crisis, see the health buzz there is very tanky.
Yeah, it looks like right now Martin's just resigned to the fact that Gimgoon's either going to be the last person alive of his team, or they're not going to win the team fight at this stage. Recognizes if he's hitting the tree, it's probably not a good game plan already.
And Syndra can do the burst here. Romantic pretty squishy with only lifesteal. No overshield there from the BT. Can get out with a QSS, of course, of at least one of the stuns, but if that combo comes in and Syndra ulti flies through, Romantic's pretty much just dead.
And right now you're looking for, can Gimgoon get a flank? That's really what you need on the Maokai to get this started. You feel like Snake are done with rushing into the team fights.
A bit of life here from Snake, actually whimsing up Martin.
Gimgoon pinging out some wards. Here he goes.
Yeah, he's going to look for the flank. Home guarded up as well. This actually has to be the disengage. Good stun there onto Crisis, but Crucial Barrage will come down. Martin separated off from the team, and Flandre's in the middle of it all. Tanking up whatever he can with the Wild Growth popped in as Ella looks to wrap around the side. Now Martin's able to join in as Ella is tying up as much as he can, but Gimgoon just unkillable. Even the Mikhail's burnt on him as well. But this actually might not be too bad for Snake. They get enough damage done. The carry just couldn't get in position for EPA.
ZZR re-engages there.
Oh, Ella goes in for it. Finds Republic with a knock-up, but JZ goes in. Crisis now a little too low as Martin takes him out. ZZR will live as Martin smells blood. He goes for Gimgoon of all people. Gets his face almost crit off by the Corki. And now the stun lands in. Flash forward. Cocoon will miss. Lands in onto Brawl, but that's going to be the kill. Flandre will pick that up. Now Romantic getting died as Republic's force back as well. Ezreal picks up ZZR, but EPA can't defend now.
And it is the 1 for 2. They need to be careful because Homeguard can come out of Maokai. They do break the base, get the inhibitor. 40 seconds on the Baron, so Snake finally able to make it work. But once again, it looks really hard.
It does, and that was another well-fought team fight for Snake. EPA, despite the fact that Snake had significantly fewer tanks, Syndra, I believe, was the tank.
Yeah,
in the front line there, like, with that wild
wanted
growth.
him so bad. And they're trying to push out this middle lane enough that they can once again go for the Baron. Trying to stop some of the recalls. Tank very low. It's 9 seconds.
This Baron goes down quickly as well to EPA's team.
There's a Rek'Sai tunnel at the back of the pit. Here they go.
Crisis goes in. Snake are grouped in, ready to defend though. Braum actually has to run back. Baron has spawned.
How quick can they burn through it?
Very quickly, but I'm not sure it's quick enough. Oh, Snake don't want to face check.
ZZR wasn't up. They just don't want to fight for it. It would have been a fight without the jungler, and it means one more Baron. So inhib for a Baron, especially mid-inhib, probably still in favor of EPA, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say close to even, but EPA will take it. Certainly given that they got their base broken into. We saw Snake able to defend one Baron. We'll see if they can do it, but let's watch this again.
So we kept mentioning Syndra and her low mobility, you know, gets double knocked up here, and you see that ZZR and Flandre are just peeling for tank. And he's not able to get enough done on the back end. Gimgoon is just, with that ultimate up, completely unkillable. You see the Mikhails used on a Spirit Visage user, just so much. And Gimgoon, just time and time again, able to re-engage these team fights. And honestly, it was an Ella with a great re-engage that kind of saved the fight. As Martin, you know, flashing forward, trying to be nice and aggressive, just wasn't able to get that last auto attack off. And JZ, he's a hero. He saved his AD carry there. Well, his mid laner actually, from a certain death. And even though this goes down, with Baroned up minions, as I said, it's very easy to defend, even push in to a super creep wave.
Yep. And you can see EPA are working on the top side of the map now. I'll take the Gromp, because why not? And looks like Kim Goon's going to back away and get even tankier. What is his... looks like they did get top tier 2. As you can see, Martin is now walking past the rubble. And Chain Vest up for Kim Goon, so even more armor being
Probably
built
a
up.
Thorn Mail being built up. Maybe if he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, Deathman plate for that momentum auto attack to slow down whoever he goes in on. Has the highest base damage in the game, pastry time, so you know, always nice to slap people with it.
It hurts, man. I mean, I feel like EPA's plan's pretty clear here. Crisis soaks the AP damage, Kim Goon jumps on the carry, and one of the two AD carries should be able to blow up the Syndra. Flandra again going to have to do overtime here. We saw his Morgana do a surprising amount of damage in game number 1. Going to have to pull out a similar performance here on the Lulu.
And I'm just wondering, does he get rid of the Spooky Ghost and go towards something like a Lich Bane to, you know, become a legitimate threat in these fights? The Spooky Ghosts are great to catch people out, but doesn't have the same kind of punch at this stage of the game as what a Lich Bane would have with a 6-item Lulu.
Might have to be honest, but guess we're going to find out relatively soon. He's surely got enough value out of the gold item now that he's not going to need it. Romantic is popping down to the bottom side. Does have Infinity Edge actually, so also looking to increase that carry potential from the Azrael. In fact, they've got double IE on their team. So these AD carries hurt. And there's only one real tank, and it's not a massive one there in ZZR. Flandre can help, of course, with the wild growth, but team fights are going to get harder and harder, it feels like, for both teams. But EPA might just have the scaling edge.
For EPA, they feel like this game's going to go for another 10, 15 minutes. So may as well try and work towards that 5th one if it becomes available.
Yep. We'll call it insurance.
The other thing is, if you just want to stall out a game and you're happy with 6 items, it kind of gives you this window of, okay, 6 minutes from now, meet in this spot, like kind of like when you're in high school. Basketball courts, after school. You know, we're going to settle this once and for all.
We'll throw down.
And see who is a better League of Legends team. Don't know why I was playing League of Legends on the basketball court, but you know, that's where it happened.
Could have. Well, EPA, again, have to play very safe and together. Crisis, I do like this. Doing a bit of gardening in the top lane now. Does have his ulti to get around pretty quickly. But Baron buff again neutralized there. Only one tier 2 tower gotten, so base still intact here for Snake, and they do have that open mid inhib they can maybe fight over.
The gold is actually completely even right now. There's like 100 in it. Take the Raptor cap. There you go. At 45 minutes into the game, you know what? Just throw it out the window. Everyone's pretty much 6-item now anyway. It does not matter. Ali, you should have gone AP. You would have been the carry your team needed.
Well, he's actually pretty tanky. You saw him do quite a bit of work in the last team fight.
He's massive at this stage of the game. Alistair Ultimate, you know, Jay-Z needs to be able to get that shield up in front of one of his carries. Alla, on the other hand, he's just going to worry about flying into the back line.
Crisis needs to get back, actually. Kim Goon, you can see the recall. Snake are looking to re-threaten that respawn mid inhibitor. Snake know they have to fight. I don't think they want to wait around for another Baron, and they certainly don't want to have to contest for Dragon 5 every 6 minutes. So might be here that they choose to fight. They could just retake this.
Here they go. Crisis is still a little bit further away. Kim Goon not opting for the teleport flank this time around.
Does get spotted as well, will Crisis. In fact, maybe even get cut off here. That does pass back towards his team through the base gate.
So they didn't want to flank with 2 members at once. Maybe now they send Kim Goon back, although the pilot...
Oh, Romantic. He ate a stun, but he'll be okay. Does take a bit of burst as a result. And actually, lifesteal's back up nice and quickly with double lifesteal items and an IE, so he'll be okay. Nice double stun. The damage not quite there for Tank, just on those little pokes. Snake is slowly but surely wearing this down, but I don't even know if this gets him in a good enough position to try and close the game. It helps, but it's not everything.
Yeah, it certainly does. You can see Martin trying to play a Juggolution comp. He's at the front right now.
Yeah, he's trusting in those teammates. Romantic, good shift out of that stun again. Dodges out of the way.
Kim Goon pops the Righteous Glory. Nothing really happening. Big bottom wave on the side of EPA. Huge top wave on the side of Snake. So someone's going to have to go back and deal with both these waves from the respective teams.
Yep.
And no one wants to blink.
No, 10 summoners up as well, so everything is available here. Mana pool's also looking pretty refreshed. EPA will have the siege advantage, I suppose, because their fountain's pretty close by, and Snake are just still poking in. It's taken a while, but they might just get this here. Cullen goes in for Martin, pokes down Republic, but not taking too much damage there.
And look at that creep wave on the bottom side of the map. Finally, Flandre goes, let's go get this turret instead, guys. He's actually gone by himself.
It's dangerous, but Get some poke down and run away pretty fast on the old Whimsy, so not too worried here. And 47.5 minutes in, we'll have a reset once more.
Yeah, and in the end, Snake were like, we think we can get the inhibitor, but we're not sure if we'll get the team fight instead. Let's reset, not let a third Baron go across to EPA, clear out our minion waves, reset the map. And this is one of 2 showdowns within the next 3 minutes. Baron, 30 seconds, 5th Dragon for EPA. Will be about 2 minutes after that, and we'll see who's able to come out with the victory, because right now it's on a knife edge.
It is, and it feels like Snake's window is take this Baron before the Dragon comes up and win the game. Because having to defend that many 5th Dragons is so many teamfights that you have to play pretty much perfectly. And Snake's teamfighting certainly gotten better as the series has gone on, but I don't know how much they trust themselves. The old Snake wouldn't care, they'd go straight in for it, but newer Snake does seem to be a little bit shaky on their feet.
They're hesitant. They don't want to burst through that base. They don't have a really strong engage tools apart from that Alistar. That might be what it is, not running the same kind of comps. There's no big equalizer to cut off a team.
And again, back to mid lane. Everyone's favorite lane. Now, waves are slow pushing, but actually, Snake might have got both waves pushing. Not sure about bottom.
Bottom will go in EPA's favor, so that's going in. Once again, Jay-Z.
Ooh, stun there onto the Braum, but damage not quite there. Spiderling's under attack. Gonna be okay. No, ulti's used.
Ooh,
oh,
Braum really low now.
Yeah, has to be careful. He's quite tanky, but again, when tanks start dying, that's usually when your carries become vulnerable. So you have to be quite careful here. Looks like Braum will back up. He's got a decent amount of regen, so it should be okay.
Just fat-fingered ZZ up.
Oh, no. And that's a big look in Elise, but that's a key cooldown for Flandre to use there. Can't afford to make those mistakes at this point in the game.
I don't know if they saw it, though, so they might still not know if it's off cooldown. You can see that Snake, straight away, they ping back.
Yep, time to bluff. Just run away casually. Baron is up, by the way, and Dragon is coming up in 35 seconds. Snake, you need to make a move very, very soon.
And I wonder if the move from EPA is, what? Minions don't really matter at this part of the game. Let's just take the double bonus stats on everyone and see if we can get the 5th Dragon. Doesn't even look like Snake are in a position to contest. 20 seconds, not on the right side of the map.
Flandre's going back, but he does have TP. EPA aren't going straight for it just yet. I guess 10 seconds up for the Dragon means they can't just jump at it.
Yeah, what they want to do is, move into the mid lane, pressure them away, then collapse back. 4 seconds on it. Teleport coming in.
Flandre went Lich Bane, and this is all in now for Snake. They need to win this team fight. He pops the TP. EPA backing in towards their alcove near the blue buff. Snake, do not start the Dragon. Martin, he hits it. Oh, this is so risky. Oh, damage in. Ella, straight for it, only finds Gimgoon. Dragon does go over to Snake. They will deny the 5th, but Tank, he's low. Romantic, almost dead over the top as he gets over the wall. But the face of the mountain's there. Everyone's just pretty tanky. Republic gonna eat another stun as Martin. He's free hitting here from the backside, and Gimgoon, he just can't take this much damage. They are gonna try and go for the assassination. Huge 3-man stun. Martin's gonna swoop in and collect the kills, and Snake might have finally cracked the last team fight. Crisis and Romantic. Ella going in for it. Double knock up there once again. There's still 3 left here for EPA. Make it 2. Make it 1. Romantic, the only one left alive, and he has to get back to base.
And Ella take a bow. What a team fight out of the support for Snake. Able to get multiple headbutt pulls in there. Tanks the whole front line. Pretty much did Gimgoon's job, but with half the resources. And in the end, it looks like Snake will run away with this game. Still not confident enough to just stream into the base. They want the big minion wave.
Yeah, they're actually going top lane. That's how safe they want to play this. ZZR speeds into the top as Whimsy tank ultied again. Okay.
Using it just as a heal at this point in the game. It doesn't really matter. Death time is still way too long.
Yeah, and I don't know if Romantic can do the 1v5, but see if he can give it a go. Snake, going to break the base down. Are going to go in for the kill, but not going to get it. Snake, in a very marathon game number 3, will come out victorious in the series.
But Pastry Time, once again, losing 0-2 to M3, going to 3 games in what was a 53-minute nail-biter. I don't think this is how Snake wants to win these sets against the likes of M3 and EPA. Much better late game team fighting that time around, but you still got a question.
Yeah, lots of questions here, to be honest. A 2-1 win for Snake is still a win, but after starting tour versus LGD, Snake felt poised to really take over the group. They're still 2-1 overall in score. They'll pick up the wins they need, but Not the cleanest games we've ever seen from the lineup.
And I like the juxtaposition you just drew. What does that mean for LGD in this group? I mean, if M3 are able to beat Snake, if EPA are going to take them to 2-1 games like that, and, LGD, in the games that they lost, didn't look that impressive against Snake, to be honest. That's very bad news for the defending champions.
It is a worry, but we'll have to see LGD a bit later, I suppose, in the week, because they have been struggling in the early weeks. But Snake, just like every Snake game now is just going to be a marathon.
Yeah, it certainly does. And, time and time again, they're able to get these little advantages in the early game. This time, they weren't even really able to get that. It was kind of this back and forward. And EPA, just draw it back to the start of the game, where instead of going for that push on the bottom lane turret, they threw everyone mid lane and, tried to get, a quirky gank off with the Braum. That's where it really started going wrong. They traded 2 for 1. They lost all the tempo that they'd built up in that early game. EPA is a team that, sometimes their decision-making doesn't look great, but when they execute, it actually looks relatively smooth. That game for Snake looked all over the shop.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have expectations, I suppose, of Snake. We know some of these players now. We've seen them play. Players like Flandre, who came up from LPL, no longer a rookie, and are really challenged to prove themselves now that they've had a year in the LPL. But we look at some of the newer teams. M3, EPA coming up from... Oh, sorry, M3, of course, not coming up. But even HYG, they've all had all the teams we expected maybe to not do too well. They've actually had some really good moments, and that's a good thing for a team early on into your LPL season.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you can actually throw M3 in there, because even though they're not an LSPL team, they've bought all the LSPL players up, and they've got rid of the likes of Data, the likes of Looper, and they've started to rebuild. And, these young teams are actually coming into the Chinese scene now, and they've always done it. There's always one team, but now that there's a couple of them coming in here and really shaking up, Snake are in their third split. They have absolutely no excuses for games to be going like this. If they want to be a top 3, top 4 contender, they need to be able to close out M3. They need to be able to close out EPA. And right now, they're very struggling. They're really struggling to do it.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, somewhere EDG and LGD are flailing about, having horrible starts to their season. It's a kooky 2016.
It is. It's Twilight Zone, man. I felt like I've been in it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start. But again, going back to that game, I feel like drafting was such a big issue here. Snake, they've got sort of a way to play. They've got enough diversity, I feel like, because Flandre is such a versatile player. But if you make roster changes and you're trying to adjust to a way your lineup's playing, please don't change your draft that drastically game to game, as we do see Tank actually picks up the MVP.
He had some really good stuns in there, but how Ella did not get that MVP, I will never know. Ella, in my opinion, the linchpins of this team, let's talk about Tank for a second. So Tank picked up Syndra, very different champions, once again, bounced back, had a good game 1, not a great game 2, bounced back in a huge way in this, able to have a huge kill participation there, 85%, but when Ella and Flandre are the guys that seem to get all of this started, and when Flandre is not having a great game and Snake is still winning League of Legends, that just shows how well their support is playing. And time again, Ella was able to re-engage these fights over walls, get back in there and knock up the carries. Really think that this Alistair is going to be key, and expect teams to start even maybe banning it away if they are on the red side, because time and time again, Snake have just proven that it's the most important pick for them to get in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 picks this draft, and every first pick was Alistar. This pick's insanely important. Not even just against Snake, which I agree with, but also in general with the LPL. Alistar is always somewhere. Sometimes the bench, sometimes picked. Very often first picked or highly picked when he is. And I think you're right. We might start seeing some of these bans shift over to some of these supports, because the difference between Alistar and Braum is huge as far as effectiveness goes. And Braum is not a bad support.
Yeah, the thing is about Alistar and Braum are kind of polar opposites. Braum is a reactionary support. If you're very good at Braum and someone jumps on your carry, you're able to get huge knockups for your teams. You're able to disengage very successfully, block a lot of damage. Alistar, however, always just has that go button of the flash headbutt pole combo that will start team fights whenever they want. And just time and time again, Ella was able to show that he can do that.
Yeah, he was. As we are going to watch this team fight again. This was just crazy. It's the last team fight of the game.
Certainly was. We were wondering why they were happy to start it up. And look, headbutt pulverized in the backline. Ella zoning out the whole of the team. And, once again, he's able to just successfully peel. Gets another headbutt pulve there. And, Tank on the back end of this team fight is doing work. But Ella, time and time again, just hitting 2-3 members. This was really the stun that sealed it, though. Tank able to get in there, knock up 3 people. And from there, you just knew they had to withdraw from the fight. And EPA, they put a lot of work into this, as Ellie goes one more time. And everyone was so tanky but it really was a persistent CC that came out of the Snake lineup that won out.
Watching that back, it just feels like the experience sort of won over there. Romantic shifted over the wall and then zoned himself out of the fight. Like, I get it, you're Ezreal. You got a pretty long-range Q, but he was not doing maximum damage in that fight, and they all funneled back into a corridor. I just feel like EPA, again, when they execute, especially the early mid-game, they look really good, but Snake were finally able to get some of that late-game team fighting back in.
Yeah, I completely agree, and this shows the difference between fighting at Baron and fighting at Dragon. EPA looked really comfortable fighting at Baron because of the way the pit was located when they're on that side of the map. However, when they're coming through the funnel and Syndra's firing spheres at you, it's very hard to pick your moment. Probably would have been better to just reset the map, try and chase them around to the Baron area if they weren't going to start it up. You feel if they were the proactive team that started up, as we take a look at some other highlights, then the game would have been much different.
Tank stuns are looking juicy in a lot of these fights. Martin, again, big credit to the AD carry player. Did his job and then some in this particular game, but you could see these fights were just so back and forth.
Yeah, and really that was because of Gimgoon, and this is where Ella and Tank, once again, huge stun comes out here. Ella able to get big three-man headbutt pulve over the back line. And EPA, they're so tanky. They're able to withstand so much, but in the end wasn't enough.
Yep, Gimgoon can't really do it alone here. Some of that CC from Syndra just too much. And Ella, this fight, by the way, he literally held up 3 carries by himself.
Yeah. As I said, had a really impressive performance on the Alistar. And can't underrate how well, top laners and supports for both these teams honestly looking very good.
Yeah, Flandre actually looked a little off today, to be honest, especially against Gimgoon, who is coming up as a very promising top lane. As you can see, Snake, big size of relief there at the end of that one. 51-minute games always feel good to win.
Yeah, they certainly do, especially when it's a series, right? All of a sudden, that's heartbreaking for EPA. They've just put 3 hours on the line where they've played their hearts out and came away with nothing. But credit to Snake, who, this veteran team now, sounds so weird saying that, is starting to pull it back a little bit. And the team fighting at the end of the third game there at least was starting to come through.
And looking sort of back through the whole series, I think it's just improvement we're expecting from Snake as the players sort of settle into their roles. It definitely seems like they're missing Beast in You in a couple of different ways, but if they keep like this, keep improving week to week, they should rise back up to where they want to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, when you start rebuilding, of course, Tank Korean mid laner, they need to make sure that that synergy is there, that they start getting the communication back down pat. So it will take a while. We've learned that about bringing new members onto the team, but I cannot wait until they start team fighting the way they used to.
Well, curious to see how long it will take, but they do pick up a win here. Don't go too far, though. We've got more action coming up with 2 more.